All right. Hey, welcome everybody. It is Wednesday at 7 o'clock and it is Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome back, Mary Beth, of course.
Hello, hello.
Are wrapping up Halloween month with 1999's action. It's not even a scary movie, but
No,
it's
not
the
a
Mummy.
little.
It's really like it's kind of like I said, like last week with the Meg. This is like a roller coaster ride of a movie. Just action and fun. And yeah, it's not scary. I mean, it is. I mean, a little bit if you're a
It
kid.
was fun. I found myself like chuckling out loud at a couple of the gags. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
No,
good.
it's good. It's good. Hey,
But
Bill Murray here.
it's
Thank
in
you.
keeping with
Hello.
the classic monster. Like, and we can
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
this
Well, I
when
mean,
we
of
do
course, this is
Friday.
Universal, so they own all the classic monsters, so to speak.
Yeah,
Obviously, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein, the Mummy. I don't know,
Mummy,
werewolf,
werewolf,
whatever else they
and
had, but
maybe the Invisible Man. I don't
maybe
know.
yeah, Invisible
We'll
Man.
talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit tonight about something Universal tried to do with their monsters.
So
So
before we do that, you got news.
I have
We're gonna do
news.
news.
I have all kinds of news for everyone tonight. It is 7:02, time for news. So we've got two Star Trek and two Star Wars coming up. We got the Lower Decks finale and the Prodigy kickoff. And then we've got Andor still clunking along. And then they dropped all 6 episodes of Tales of the Jedi, which is an animated anthology. And these episodes are like split into two paths. One follows the character Ahsoka, and the other follows Count Dooku. And it's all our favorite characters back again. Ashley Eckstein is back as Ahsoka. Ian McDermott is back. Liam Neeson's back. Phil LaMarr is back. Clancy Brown will be there. So can't wait to watch those. If it's like half hour, we can probably shotgun it. So it'll be the same style as the Clone Wars. So plenty to watch over there. In the meantime, over on the Star Trek side, just recently at the New York Comic Con, the Picard showrunner Terry Matalas has confirmed a Star Trek tradition. Season 3 will have a passing of the torch from one captain to the next, or from one generation to the next. He didn't say who or what or where or why, but that's something we can look for in the upcoming Picard season 3. Moving on, Leslie Jordan, who you guys may best know him as Beverly on Will and Grace. I don't know if you have any memories of Karen on that show and Beverly. Like, they were just the funniest thing. Leslie Jordan has passed at age 67 in a single car accident. And I'm mentioning him because Leslie played Cole, a Ferengi, on the Voyager episode False Prophets. Condolences are pouring out on Twitter. Everyone says he was just the nicest guy, and that is a huge loss. Weird little resurgence. 1998 Star Trek Insurrection was no one's favorite, but for some bizarre reason, like, it was hovering in at the 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, but for some bizarre reason, the fans over on Reddit have started like looking at it again and finding good things about it and finding things to like about it. So if any of you out there want to put on your rose-colored glasses and give Star Trek Insurrection another look, you would be welcome to do that to help lift it up in the standings, as they say. This Sunday was the Doctor Who big weekend, and we all expected Jodie Whittaker to regenerate into Ncuti Gatwa. But instead, lo and behold, and the fans went wild, there was David Tennant. The BBC has confirmed that David Tennant is the 14th Doctor, and Ncuti will be the 15th Doctor.
I may actually start watching it again then.
You might need to watch again. He'll only be on.
Tennant was my favorite of the newer, by far, of the newer group. I have to admit, I stopped watching it when they retconned everything, the whole background.
I stopped watching it somewhere in what's his name? White hair there. I love Matt Smith. I love David Tennant. I love Matt Smith.
The one right before Jodie.
Yeah.
I
kind of lost the thread.
Yeah, his got a little weird.
I liked Clara. I liked his.
I didn't mind it, but what drove me nuts was the whole retconning the whole Doctor history, and he was like the original Time Lord. I'm like, Capaldi, thank you, Martin.
Capaldi, yes, thank you,
yeah.
Martin.
So, but anyway, yeah, you know, it's nothing. I didn't have actually initially liked Jodie, as I thought she did a good job.
I thought she did a good
It
job.
wasn't.
too.
It wasn't because she was a woman. A lot of people were freaking out. It was just I didn't like. I don't know why they have to
They
redo the history
retconned
of
it.
things
I
to make
liked
it more
Jodie. I
politically
liked her
correct.
companions.
Yeah, it just fell off for me. So
Yeah.
we'll give it another shot. I love David
I'll
Tennant.
give
I
it a
love
shot.
David
So,
Tennant in just about everything he
David's
does.
back. He's not the 10th Doctor back again. He's a new Doctor. He's the 14th Doctor. So that's kind of an interesting little note.
That's I don't know how many, yeah.
Catherine Tate is back as Donna Noble. The late Bernard Cribbins, we will see a little bit of him. He did get to film some before he passed in July. And this is just for the 60th anniversary specials. This will appear in November of 2023. So we have to wait a whole year for this. And this is probably going to be the episodes that include Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker. So we'll see how this all unfolds. Meanwhile, over in the MCU, okay, you guys. A trailer for the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special has dropped. And oh, gentle viewers and gentle listeners, how I want to have a watch party with all of us together so we can rip this thing MST3K style. It really, do you remember when I was talking about this in the news like some time ago? I was like, oh, this is going to be like the Star Wars holiday special. Yes, it is. It is just like the Star Wars holiday special. It's got that level of hokiness to it. So, yes, of course, I will still watch it. I wish we could have a watch party. I think that would be so fun. That might be something fun to do between Christmas.
I mean, you could do it as a watch party. I don't think we could live stream.
I don't think we could live stream it. I have to figure out how to
live stream while people watch it. We just can't live.
Everyone just turn it on your own TV, and then we'll just chat.
Then we'd have to watch it on another. Yeah, so and then we chat. About it.
Feel like this is going to be like so rippable, but all right, we'll see. In other MCU trailer news, the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania trailer dropped, and wow, Kang the Conqueror is going to begin his tenure as the MCU big bad. He's not beginning. We already saw him in Loki, but he is officially there now as the new big bad. Speaking of Marvel, James Cameron was giving an interview about his new Avatar movie coming out, and oh my God, I don't know what possessed him, but he took a shot at both MCU and DCEU, saying they all act like they're in college, like meaning the characters. He's like, they act like they're in college and they never hang up their spurs. And, you know, they have relationships, but not real relationships, the kinds that ground us and give us power and love and a purpose. Those characters don't experience it. And I don't think that's the way to make movies.
He does realize it's a superhero comic book movie.
Also, right? Has he seen his own movie, Avatar? Like, I guess the two characters had like gotten married and had a kid.
The Avatar was just bad.
It was.
The effects wise, it was impressive, but that's where it ended. And again, I don't like having social messages jammed down my throat.
Well, yeah, there's that.
That movie was just like, yeah, not hiding it too much, are you? You're not burying it in the story at all.
Nope. So this is not the first time a director has taken aim at Marvel. But I don't know. He just thinks his Avatar movies are more mature because the characters got married and had kids. The MCU fans obviously took umbrage at this.
Yeah, that's kind of good.
It was a tweet storm this morning, like.
Yeah, that's really dumb of him to do that, because when you think about the popularity of the MCU and you're coming out with a movie that is way later than it should have been.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's been how many years? When was the original Avatar? It was like 10 years ago at least.
No, like 2000. Yeah, it's been a while.
Over like 10 years. So to take a shot at the MCU, you're really cutting your nose off, spite your face, in my opinion, because you're going to piss off all these people that might have gone and seen your movie.
Yes.
And now they're going to be like, screw you, we don't want to see your crappy movie.
This was in an interview. He's promoting Avatar. So if you guys just Google James Cameron MCU if you guys want to read it for yourself. Whoo, doggy. In the meantime, let's go back to the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. It's got Kevin Bacon as Kevin Bacon, like playing himself.
There you go.
He's gotta
I'll have
watch
to look
this
that
thing.
one up. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I'll have to go watch to see if I can find it.
It's go find the
If
trailer.
I find it, I'll post
Don't
it
have
on
to.
the page.
The gist of it from the trailer, of course, I don't know. This is just the trailer, but the gist of it is that Star Lord Peter Quill is feeling bummed out because he's in space. He's not home on Earth, and it's Christmas time. Oh, I kind of miss Christmas. So all his little friends who don't know what Christmas is are gonna try. And we've seen this trope before. Like we've seen this plot before. All these aliens who don't know what Christmas is are gonna try. And apparently, one of the things Mantis and Drax go and just kidnap Kevin Bacon. And drag him.
I don't know. It sounds like it could be.
I think it'll be funny and goofy, but I want to watch this with a group. There should be snacks, and we should be ripping it MSTK 3000 style.
When is it supposed to drop?
It comes out November. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna Google really quick. I want to say November 25 or 27, but I did not write it down. I'm sorry.
So like right after Thanksgiving, then.
Yeah, right after
Thanksgiving. I'm gonna post it on our
25,
page.
November 25.
So here's the link. I posted it. So if you want to go to our Facebook page. Is it episodic
or is it just a single one-off? I thought it was a one-off.
So this holiday special, that implies a one-off to me.
I think it's a holiday special.
Yeah. So anyway, we need more Guardians of the Galaxy anyway.
We do. And finally tonight, guys, because Halloween is coming, we're both gonna give you Rex if you're looking for a scary movie to watch, and you guys are gonna immediately, instantly, without fail, grasp my theme because this is my favorite stuff to watch. My Rex for for interesting sci-fi movies to watch for Halloween.
They have to be sci-fi. Well, they don't have to be sci-fi.
No, they don't have to be sci-fi. Close Encounters, of course, of the Third Kind. Super 8.
A Halloween movie.
Because it's got aliens in it.
Okay. What was the next one? Super 8.
Signs.
Vast
of Night.
That was Vast of Night reminded me a lot of War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast version, sort of.
Oh, Vast of Night. If you guys,
that was a little strange though. It was a little. That was an odd movie. I
loved it. Oh God, I loved it. If you guys haven't seen Vast of Night, when you're making a movie or a TV show, they always say show, don't tell. This thing breaks those rules. It tells. This thing is exposition. And there's one part of the movie where they're so confident in their exposition. This guy calls into the radio station to tell him the story of like this UFO that he saw when he was in the army. They're so confident in the actor's ability to portray this. They actually let the screen go black, I think twice during that segment. You can't see anything. You're just watching a black screen and you're just listening.
Yeah, it's a very odd
imagination.
It's almost an art film.
It is very much an art film.
Yeah,
very much an art film. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love the mood of it. I love the look of it. I love the feel. I love the suspense. There's something out there, but they're still like trying to go around, do their normal lives, but there's something out there. Oh, I love that movie. We should do that movie someday. I love it.
Is that it? Was that your picks?
Those are my picks, and I could go on. I have other UFO / alien movies if you guys are into that, but that's my thing.
One of the ones.
What are your picks?
I actually was thinking about it when you brought this up that you wanted to do the segment, and one of the ones that came to mind was Duel.
Which you've mentioned that one.
Steven Spielberg's one of his first films, and it was actually made for TV. Dennis Weaver is the star, and it's the guy. It's basically Jaws on land.
Yeah.
This guy is being chased by this madman in a tractor trailer, and that's the whole movie.
And there is a person in the truck. It's not the truck.
You never see the guy in the truck. Yeah, you never see the driver. You just see this truck, this rusted old truck, and it's the whole movie of him being chased by this trucker, stalked and chased and everything. So it's so Spielberg. It's brilliant. It was made for television. It was never in the theater, but look it up if you've never seen it. It is you got to see it just as a sci-fi. It's not really a sci-fi because I guess the truck did have some supernatural sort of.
Is it like a precursor to Christine? Or?
No. They never imply that the truck is possessed.
Okay.
They just imply that it's just brilliant Spielberg in the sense that you never see the driver, even at the very end. And I don't want to give away the ending to it. But you never see the driver of the truck. You just see the truck, and which is part of the suspense because he doesn't know who this guy is. There's one scene where the truck is at this diner. He's at the diner, so he knows one of these people in the diner is
Mike
the guy, but he
driver.
doesn't know which one it is, who it is. So it's kind of neat. So if you've never seen Duel, please go look it up and watch it. It's a great, great film, especially if you're a Spielberg fan. One of my other choices was I got into the what was it, Stephen? Why am I drawing blanks? This is terrible. Happens to me every time. The writer there that writes all the really scary books.
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Thank you. I'm losing. This is what old age does to you. Stephen King. So The Shining certainly comes up as a very, 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 very
The
scary
Shining.
movie.
Oh yeah.
Christine was another one that I liked. Again, kind of a scary movie where that one which you're talking about with the car that was possessed by the devil or something. I don't know what the car was.
I usually don't know what possessed Christine. Like
and
why?
Then keeping with Stephen King theme, I like Maximum Overdrive. I think that's a really fun, scary kind of movie. It's along the lines of Tremors and kind of some way. Tremors was another pick of mine, which we did.
Yeah, Tremors is a fun one.
So that's kind of what I thought. If you want good kind of sort of sci-fi.
Kind of sci-fi, not too. As you can tell, neither of us are into slasher. Neither of us are into full-on horror. Like
no.
Here's one I watching Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, no.
Won't catch us watching Michael Myers.
No, I remember I've seen I remember back in the day Nightmare on Elm Street was popular. I remember seeing that and the Chucky movies there. What was that? Child's Play.
And I know it's supposed to be funny. Like I know they're supposed to put your tongue in your cheek. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I'm not into the slasher thing. So,
and yet we watched Army of Dark. What did we watch?
Army of Darkness is not a slash movie.
It's not a slash movie, and it was weird, but it was funny. Like I was okay with that. Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's not what you expected, which is funny because you were fighting us on that one. Me and Ken. Yeah, you were like you didn't want to watch it. We're like, no, you got to watch this. This is like the greatest movie.
And guys, let us know if you want us to maybe take a look, do just a Stephen King night. I'd love to. If you want us to do an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong night, I would love to do that. He has some good ones. And go ahead, tell us what your favorite kind of Halloween-y scary movies are in the comments. The new comments, just so you know, I can see whether you're watching on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube.
Right.
You go anywhere else, that's it. I can see your comments. But I no longer have the capability to click like. Like I would at least click like sometimes, and sometimes
I throw them up when I see a good one. So
yeah, he throws them up. I kind of miss that part of it. I miss being able to write back to you guys and stuff like that. But
yeah, well, you could still comment, can't you?
I could. I would just have to now go over another tab, go onto Facebook.
You can't comment directly. I can. I can comment directly to the group.
Let me actually open this over here. Like a roller. Yeah, okay, so here we are. Here's all the chats, and I can comment over here, but I want to be over here.
I'll show there's Martin's. So anyway, okay, so drink. We didn't do the drink.
Oh, the drink, yes. What is our drink?
So here it is.
Mummies. Oh, a mummy.
Hang on, let me take that so we can see the whole thing. There we go. So it's called the Mummy, and it is three parts apricot infused brandy, or just apricot brandy. Jasmine liqueur, lemon juice, white wine, orange juice, soda, and water and peach bitters. Boy, that's got a combination.
Apricot, peach, and white wine. That's gonna be a little fruity tooty.
Yep. So give it a shot. Nice. If you want Halloween.
It's Halloween.
Drop a little dry ice maybe in there.
Yeah, get that little smoky effect. Don't let it touch your lips.
That's on the page if you want to look it up. So getting into this movie, 1999, we are well into our CGI.
Yes.
And we're all being blown away movie after movie with advancements in CGI. And this one did not disappoint. But this one, although CGI was definitely a huge part of this film, the actors, the writing, the chemistry with the actors, this movie kind of came together in many ways. It was not just a effects driven film.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was very fun. It was the kind of movie that I like to see as far as a scary movie. It wasn't scary obviously at all. It was only PG-13. But there was a lot of humor to it, and there were some obvious gags, but if you mix that in with the action and the effects, and the whole movie worked.
Oh,
Obviously,
absolutely.
obviously, it spawned well, it respawned a franchise because the Mummy was with Universal Monsters had its own sort of franchise back in the 50s, 60s when they made those films, 40s even. But this one kind of reinvented it and launched it again. And of course, there were two more subsequent films and a spin-off film,
And a
multiple
video
spin-off
game
films,
and a cartoon.
video game and
Natalie
card.
Wood
Yeah,
cartoon.
yeah. So they really capitalized on it. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but just circling back to the effects a little bit. So this was a nice mix. So don't forget, this was 1998 or 99. It's 99.
99.
And they were up against The Matrix and the first one there, Phantom Menace,
Right.
which had far more. This was a really nice mix. This was ILM that did this, and it was a really nice mix of CGI and practical effects. There are a few of them that look a little dated now, but the overall effect, like if you just suspend disbelief and just put your feet up and watch the movie, it works.
Yeah, it
really,
holds.
really well.
Like I said, I think I told you earlier, I was watching it and I had to watch it. I had the DVD and I was watching it. So I'm watching it on a 70-inch screen in standard definition. And a couple of the effects were kind of obvious. You could see kind of the layers, that there was live action mixed in. But I really didn't feel that, oh, this is really bad. Like, you can see how bad it is. Like I said, as long as you don't pay too close attention to it. I thought the Mummy animation, when he was Mummy, still like a mummy, still holds up. I think it still holds. It looks a little bit Harryhausen.
Yeah, yes.
But a little bit. But I wonder if that was on purpose.
I wonder if it was on purpose, especially the scenes where there were multiple mummies all fighting them. That looked really Harryhausen sometimes. And you know what? I didn't mind it. Like, part of me was like, oh, hey, yeah, okay, that's cool. Nice nod to Harryhausen. But I mean, that's the one thing, like, as I was watching other people's reviews getting ready for this, that's the one thing people nitpick all the time. They're like, oh, the effects, it looks like a cartoon. It looks like a cartoon.
Well, by today's standard, remember this is 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at the advancements we've made in that technology.
The sand,
the sand thing was the coolest one, and I think that was one.
The sand and the
when they're in the plane,
in the skin, I think.
Yeah, when they're in the plane, and he does the thing where it's like his big, giant face comes out of the sand and follows the airplane. That was, to me, in the theater, was impressive and very cool.
Yes.
So
on the big screen, that looked awesome.
That looked really, really impressive. So I give them props for the effects and what they did with it. And I do think it still holds up pretty well today. I think the movie as a whole holds up.
Absolutely.
The gags are good. It's still funny.
Yeah. And here's the thing: is this thing? Don't pick apart the plot too much. The plot has holes.
No, there's a lot of suspension.
And there's no character development, but somehow it just clicks.
Yeah.
Like, it just clicks. The whole thing just clicks. Jeff is saying it was the first really fun mummy movie. Yeah. And Fraser was perfect. Yes. Brendan Fraser was Winston Pedal Faster. Yeah, I remember that. Fraser was absolutely perfect for this role. They were looking at Leonardo DiCaprio. They offered it to Tom Cruise, who turned it down. I think they looked at a couple other.
And then he went and did a really bad mummy.
And then he went and did the Mummy. I want to talk about that. We're going to take a tiny little side diversion here really quick. So I want to talk about the Tom Cruise Mummy.
That came out much later, though, wasn't it?
That came out much later. That was 2017. What the heck was that one? 2014, 2017. Here's the thing, guys. When Brendan Fraser did this movie, it kind of created a resurgence in the Universal classic monsters. And the Universal classic monsters are Dracula, Frankenstein, the werewolf, and the mummy. And then maybe a couple others, Invisible Man. And so Universal, right around, this is like the early 2000s, and Universal is watching the MCU universe be born and become a thing. And they're watching their box office get kicked in the butt every single time MCU releases another movie. And the MCU released something like 19 movies in 10 years. Like, they were cranking them out for a while.
It was like a machine.
So Universal, the studio, the executives over at Universal, like, okay, we need a universe too. We need a Universal universe. We'll make the dark universe, and it's going to be all the creatures. It's going to be the Frankenstein, and it's going to be werewolf, and it's going to be Dracula, and it's going to be the mummy, and blah, 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 blah. And they did get the Tom Cruise movie, The Mummy, to be its inaugural thing. And they were even going to have like a Nick Fury. Their Nick Fury was Russell Crowe was Jekyll and Hyde, or just Hyde, or just Jekyll, whichever one. And they had their own like you know how Nick Fury they have like headquarters. They had headquarters too. Like it had that feel, and Van Helsing was going to be in it. Like it was going to be this whole thing. And so Tom Cruise does The Mummy. That thing tanks so hard.
I only saw parts of it, but it just
it was just bad. And that was it. That was the end of and they had Javier Bardem lined up. They had all these people lined up to do these movies, and it didn't happen. And the only movie that came out was
unfortunately, that's the way it seems to go in Hollywood. Is like they, and I don't know. I think probably it was a smart move, because I don't know if they would have. Superheroes, and I've said this before. I think I'm amazed that the superhero phenomena has continued. That they're still making big money.
I am too, but
I kind of think surprised that people kind of haven't been burned out on superhero movies.
I do. I'm with you, but they have a blueprint. The comics have already laid out the plot and the storyline.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. That's what I think is keeping people involved. Is the overall that story arc that we're covering, like with Avengers, was this, how many movies were involved in that whole Thanos.
Yeah,
arc. You know what I'm saying? If you could really go all the way back to the original,
but they were so clever. They had stuff, little hints, like everything was connected. It was all
they'd always leave those little teasers at the end to get you interested in the next one. So no question about it, Marvel has done a brilliant job with their franchise and keeping people interested.
Sorry, Universe. I guess
they've had some stinkers. We know Universal. This, but I guess we their film and again, Universal. I don't know if classic movie monsters were going to have the same.
I don't know either. I don't know, and because we're going to talk to Roy and Ross Friday night about the Munsters. That TV show came about because Universal was airing its monster movies on television, and it had such popularity that they decided to do that show.
Well, we know supernatural type programming and films certainly have a popularity to them. Hell, there was a whole show called Supernatural that went on for how many seasons? I mean, it went on forever. A lot. So clearly, when you add Buffy in there and you add but I think the key, what maybe they missed with the Cruise movie was, if you look at all those shows, they're all not really quite that serious. They all kind of have a sort of that tongue-in-cheek, goofiness to them that I think keeps it light and interesting. I think if you try to make things the classic horror to horror,
the
Mummy you narrowed your audience too much.
Yeah, you really have. To bring it back to our Mummy that we are talking about tonight, Brendan Fraser.
Off topic, go figure.
Way off topic. Brendan Fraser said of Tom Cruise's Mummy, he said, they tried real hard. It was a beautifully done movie, but it lacked what we had, which was just that element. It should be a thrill ride, not a straight horror. And it should have an element of comedy and a lighter element. And you know what, Brendan Fraser, I think you're right.
Yeah, he's right.
Think that's why
Tom Cruise in this format, I agree. It worked. Like I said, we've said this before. It works so well that it was just. I don't want to say it was lighting in a bottle. I use that term too much. It wasn't that. It was just well made. Everything fit together right, and you had 2 hours of entertainment.
Yes.
It entertained you for 2 hours. You came away with a smile. You enjoyed it. You weren't looking at your watch every 10 minutes to see when this thing was going to be over, because something was always happening in it. I mean, if you look at the progression, we start with a nice little backstory, so we know why the Mummy
actually makes our bad guy a little sympathetic too.
Right. We understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So we know what happened to him, and then we fast forward 3,000 years to it's placed in the 20s, I think. Is it 1923?
It was
I think
the 20s, yeah.
Something in there. So then now we have, I assume this was what, the French Foreign Legion that they were. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be the French Foreign Legion. Yeah, and so they're out there battling, and then and then we find out later that the reason they were there is that they weren't even supposed to be there, that they kind of went AWOL to go find Hamunaptra.
Yep, because they thought they were going to find gold.
So then of course we kind of go forward again, and now we're a year later or something like that. I don't know what it was, and he's going to be hanged. Brendan Fraser O'Connell,
Rick O'Connell,
yeah, O'Connell, and he's going to be hanged, and
we never find
Rachel
out
Weisz,
why.
they
What he did that he deserved a hanging.
They didn't the guy that was the kind of the warden? I thought he said why he was being hanged.
I can't remember.
I don't remember the reason. I thought he did. You know, and interesting enough, what that scene where they did hang because he does drop. He almost not. Well, he literally. I guess they had to resuscitate him.
Yes.
He stopped breathing. I mean, that's crazy.
It's okay. I want it to look right. I want it to really look like I'm being hung. So you can make this a little tighter. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, what I thought was kind of here's the suspension of disbelief. You saw how far he dropped. And you go, no, his neck didn't break. There's no way his neck wouldn't have broken from that drop. In fact, sidebar, that's a very specific scientific thing.
Yes, they
hang people that they take their weight and the distance they have to drop
and measure it,
so that their neck breaks but doesn't rip their head off.
Yeah.
Or doesn't go far enough and then chokes them because you want it to be snapped and dead. Anyway, that's the whole Kevorkian thing. But yeah, if you really want to look it up, there's a whole science to hanging people properly.
Which is good. Good Halloween fare.
Good Halloween fare.
Good for Halloween. Look up the science of hanging people.
Yeah, there's a whole
moving.
Anyway, so then of course we jump ahead because he knows where Hamunaptra. She's looking for Hamunaptra. It's the city of the dead, as it were. So I mean, there's like the backstory. They fill it in pretty well of why you don't want to go there. And why you would want to go there.
Yes.
There's supposed to be a ton of treasure, but there's this mummy buried there that, you know.
And you also meet the other American team.
The Americans. I love that line when he does that.
That's the thing about this. People were criticizing, they really racist toward the Arabs, but they dug on the Americans and the Brits a couple times too.
Well, the Americans were clearly cowboys. That's how they wanted to portray them, as all cowboys.
Like shoot first, ask later. And greedy, but they get their comeuppance. Like they're greedy, but they all get killed for their greed. So that I mean, our bad guy has a sense of higher ethical or higher moral purpose, I guess.
So yeah. So anyway, so they end up, of course, through a series of events, they find the mummy, which is a funny scene. When they open up his sarcophagus, and of course he's not completely decomposed because of course it's
still.
And juicy. I love that they both say juicy. He's juicy.
He's juicy. Yeah.
So
yes, but in that whole section of the movie, the American team the workers they had working for them, they open something and they all get acid in the face,
salt acid in the face
or something. But then after that, no one takes any heed or caution. They all just like,
that was probably the most gruesome scene that you ever saw because those guys, you saw their faces.
You saw them. Yeah,
everybody else that dies just died like when the mummy is taking their life force or whatever he does. You don't do that. It's all done off camera.
Yeah. The killing of the pharaoh in the beginning, silhouette. Her killing herself, silhouette. The second time she dies, silhouette.
Yeah, even when they cut his tongue off.
The other American cowboy dry, silhouette.
Yeah.
Stabbing the one guy done below frame so you don't see it happen. Like this thing they took pains to avoid gore and blood.
They were purposely trying to stay under that R rating.
Yeah, and we were talking about him being juicy, like the CGI design of this mummy. The director was adamant. He's like, I don't want the bandages staggering slowly around. It's not going to work.
They also had a gore factor that they had different. To see the test to see if it was too gory. They didn't want the mummy to be too gory. But I thought the mummy was actually he was pretty cool. I love the scenes when he he's half restored.
Yeah, he's kind of coming back.
And the scarab comes out of his neck and then goes into his cheek and then he just eats it. The scarabs were another great thing. The way they would just, they were like piranha.
Yeah.
They got the one poor worker that tripped and they all go over and then all it's left are like bones and stuff.
Is it in the rags of his clothing?
Stripped it clean in about 2 seconds. So yeah, they were kind of a great, of course, at the end. That's how Benny gets it.
And that's how Benny gets it at the
end. Benny got his comeuppance.
It looks to me, I have all the horses. It looks to me, you're on the wrong side.
Yeah, there was, of course, that relationship between Benny
and Rick, yeah.
O'Connell, it just was great too, because he, of course, in the beginning when they're fighting these I don't know who the Bedouin guys that are attacking them, he takes off. Benny runs. He just says, "I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this."
Yeah.
So that was their first kind of establishing that he's not, very a strong moral character. Anyway, so then of course this whole thing, and then Benny gets his. Although and Rick tries to save him at the very end, but he does.
He does try to save him.
He's like, "Well, bye, Benny."
That's
what he said. He's like, after he says, realizes there's no way he's going to get him. He's like, "Bye, Benny."
Bye, Benny. Which is what he had said earlier. The thing about this movie is, it like I said, this plot hole is no character development. It's a little bit, but it's very self-aware. Like they know that they're being a little bit, I don't want to say flippant, campy. Is that the word? I don't know what the word is. They know that. Like Benny, the mummy comes by with the sand wall, and Benny's like, "Oh, I love the whole sand wall thing."
Yeah.
They're just, I don't know. Their tongues are firmly in their cheeks, and they kind of know what they're doing. And I don't know. It's a self-aware movie, which makes its kind of humor work.
Yeah.
Right. I just loved it. All the little funny, goofy things.
It is. Again, it does. So but what I thought is other thing I liked about this movie, or made it work, was you kind of had there was acts, because you had the first act. You realize we don't even see the mummy, the actual mummy, until an hour halfway to this film.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We get an hour into this film before we actually see the mummy as a mummy.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So we have I kind of looked at it like an act. So you have the first act where they're kind of in Cairo and we're kind of meeting some of the characters, and then second act when they're actually traveling to Hamunaptra. Then we have another act when they're at Hamunaptra. Then they're back at Cairo.
And then they're back in Cairo,
and then they're back at Hamunaptra again. So the way they broke it up is interesting, and it works because he's here I am again. It's kind of like that. Martin, that's true. Martin saying there's a lot of Abbott and Costello type jokes in this film, absolutely, and maybe that was on purpose. There was an Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, I think, or something like that, if I recall.
Yeah, hi Francis, welcome. Francis is saying loved how much it was like the original Carl. Yes, this was absolutely based off the 1932. Can someone remind me of the year of the Boris Karloff mummy? That one, and not the 1950s Hammer film. It was based strictly off the earlier film, which had the same type of plot where the love story is kind of the background.
It's a dual love story. We have the love story between Imhotep and Anck-su-namun, right? The two mummies, basically, and then we have the love story between Rick and Evelyn that developed.
Yes.
So we could call it a love story,
which was kind of so weird and goofy.
I love the whole thing with the plagues. How this is my favorite one. Now here's the thing I thought, if you want to get nitpicky, why did only the townspeople be possessed by where they were boils and sores, and but none of the British military guys weren't, nor were our main characters affected, but just everybody else was.
Everybody else.
I never understood that one.
He control the plague.
Maybe it had to be Egyptian to be controlled by
varying degrees of control over the plagues. So So do we want to zip through our cast?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Brendan Fraser, of course, a lot, and of course, he had done a lot of stuff prior to this. So he was a known quantity in Hollywood, but this movie put him on the track for action hero.
Yes,
of course, is probably very coveted, and he did it well. I think he surprised some people. We were used to seeing him in roles like Encino Man, goofy stuff. And I think this showed that he could play a leading action hero. And then, of course, he did the subsequent films, and then he kind of fell out of favor in Hollywood.
Yeah,
he's making a comeback.
He, in an interview, he openly admits I was chewing the scenery up like a beaver and loving every minute of it. He was awesome. Francis is just saying, until I saw the Karloff flick, I always saw the mummy as an ambling, shambling, like wrapped in the like wrap like on Scooby-Doo, wrapped in the bandages and kind of going like this.
Yep.
Yeah, the Karloff flick, you see him wrapped once at the beginning, and then you just see him kind of as a human after that.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of suspension tension, which is I think worked really well for that flick, and I think they pulled some of it over into this flick. This flick had a little more humor, I think. But yeah. So that's Brendan. Then moving on, we had Rachel Weisz, who I adore. And hey, props to her for having period accurate eyebrows. Like the whole movie, I'm looking at her eyebrows like, girl, what have you done?
She looks so it's interesting because in this movie she looks so much different than she did in the subsequent films.
Yeah, she changed a lot in any of her subsequent films. Have you guys just seen her recently in the Black Widow film? She looks completely different. Yeah, she plays the quote. I'm going to put in quotes mother in the Black Widow film to David Harbour's father.
But she clearly works in this one. You know, it's interesting the scene where we first kind of see her in the library, and she's cataloging, and of course she tries to reach across. And when the bookcases fall like dominoes, that was a one take.
Yes.
And they had to make sure they got that in one take because it would have took over a day to reset it.
Yeah, it was like it's thousands of books. Yeah.
So all those books,
a lot of real books.
It was it was a fun scene. Was it necessary to film? But it did establish her as a bit of a klutz.
Yeah, all that was just character development. And was it particularly good character development? Probably not, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gave her that she was smart, but she was kind of a little bit.
Yeah, because then the guy comes in. Why do I keep you? Well, you keep me because I can
do this and this,
read and translate this. Yeah,
so you establish.
So there's her character right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to John Hannah, who plays her brother Jonathan, who's been in a bunch of stuff as well. Of course, he's kind of like he's like the comic relief. You know, he's a bit shady. He stole the key that this kind of thing that they need to open up all these books and sarcophagi. But he stole it from Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
He stole it from O'Connell in a bar or something. So they had that connection early on. John Hannah was also in one of my favorite TV shows, which was Spartacus. It's not for the faint of heart. If you like that, if it's very violent and there's a lot of sex in it, but it's it's Roman, obviously, but it's a good series. So he plays a Roman owner of these.
He's still working Britain.
Yeah, that was probably the only other thing that I really
on
know
Agents
him
of
from.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
He's around.
Yeah. So Arnold Vosloo as the mummy.
As the mummy. And he kind of brought the sexy to Mummy. I gotta tell you.
I guess. I mean, I'll take your word for it.
Okay, he's a good-looking guy. All right.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah. Well, he wasn't too good when he kissed her and his mouth was
his mouth was turning all dry and dusty.
Yeah, it's kind of. Why did it do that? He got healthy and then when he kissed her, it went. I don't know what that was.
I don't know. Is he sucking life force from her? Was she sucking life force from him? I don't know.
Maybe it was implied. Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Weird. Yeah.
Like I said, don't overanalyze the plot.
No, don't overanalyze it. I love those scenes because, like, when the cat.
You could drive a truck
before he's fully formed, so to speak, fully restored. He's afraid of cats because cats are the guardians of the underworld.
So why didn't we just leave cats back at Hymenoptera to keep everybody?
Right? They should have just littered the whole place with cats. But I mean, you got it's a giant sandbox, right, for them to poop.
They would have loved it. It would have been great.
So, but I love that scene where he sees the cat, he gets frightened, and he turns into like a dust devil and goes out the window. Again, great effects. Really good effects. Moving on to Kevin O'Connor, not to be confused with O'Connell Lee King, who plays Benny. He plays this role really well. You love to hate him.
Yes.
He's a weasel. He'll do anything as long as it's self-serving. He gets his comeuppance, as Evelyn said to him. But everybody gets like him. The other film that he was in that I remember, he was in Van Helsing.
Oh, was he in Van Helsing?
And he played Igor.
Yeah.
And he plays. It's almost the same exact character as Benny. It's just
you guys might remember him from 11/22/63. He was on that. He was on Chicago PD for a while. He's around. He does stuff.
You don't recognize him as much when he does normal stuff. He does so different when he did Benny and or Igor.
Yeah.
Frederick Frankenstein.
But he was great. He was so good. And I was watching an interview. The camels, all the camels as a group decided to hate him for some reason. So it kind of worked. There's one shot in the movie where he's actually trying to pull a camel to get him to go. It was the camel genuinely resisting him because for whatever reason, all the camels hated him.
Yeah.
No one knows why.
You want to go through all of there's a couple of the Americans. I don't think any of the people that were Americans were particularly.
Yeah, we know John. We don't know John Hyde. We know Oded Fair. Oded Fair is one of our roads tonight. Our all roads lead to Star Trek. Oded Fair plays the lead, Ardith Bay, the lead, the guys in black there.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently watched an interview with him. What a delight Oded is. Oded is so charming and funny. And he was telling these hysterical stories about, like, they're in the scene. Like, he had never done, it was his first movie. He had never done any of it before. And they're in the scene in the car. They're all piled into that car and they're trying to escape and the zombies are piling on the car. And Oded was trying to punch, the character Ardith was trying to punch zombies off the car. And the stuntmen would then take over and do the trickier stuff. But I guess he was like, if you guys, those of you who are watching, who can see, he was punching like this, like he was going down. And the stuntman had to take him aside and be like, hey, man.
You don't know how to punch.
Don't do that.
That scene, I noticed it was funny because if you watch that scene and they run through the crowd of zombie people, and they're all piling on this convertible car, they keep punching them and throwing them off. Now they're moving at a good pace at this point.
Yeah.
Yet the car never seems to lose men on the car.
No,
like, every time they go to a wide shot, it's still covered in people. So that was one thing. And then they crash that car into like a fountain at the end of that scene. But then almost in the very next scene, they get away. Remember, they go into the sewer or something to escape the mummy.
Yes.
And then the next scene, they're driving in the car up to see.
Yeah, the same car, right?
Like, it's the same. Where did they get the car back?
Where'd you get the car? You're in the sewer.
So I guarantee you that was a flub. That was a
it was a continuity error, but I mean, whatever. It was.
I noticed it right away. I'm like, wait a minute, that car just crashed and they left in the city. Why would they go back for it?
Yeah. So Oded is one of our roads. Oded plays Admiral Vance on Disco. And despite what you may think,
until I saw his picture.
Yeah, it's him. Despite what you may think of Disco, I have more respect for Oded now. He was so funny. He goes, they let him talk about Disco for a hot second. It was just this August they did a mummy panel at Emerald City Comic-Con, which is Seattle. So just this August, it was him and Brandon, the two of them. And they let him talk about Disco for a hot second. He's like, "Oh, it was so incredible. I'm on the bridge. I call my wife from the bridge of the ship." He's like, "Babe, you're never gonna believe where I am. I'm on the bridge." And she's like, "The Golden Gate Bridge? Like, which bridge are you on?" And he's like, the bridge of the ship." And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So not everybody appreciates the Star Trek like we do. Let's see, who else do we have in this thing? Oh, can I just jump ahead to Eric Avari? You guys know Eric Avari. He played in Orville. He played in Next Gen Reunification, Deep Space Nine Destiny, Enterprise Terra Nova. You recognize him. He always plays a Middle Eastern or an Arab person.
Yeah, he played in Stargate SG-1. He
played in Stargate SG-1.
No, he was in the film too.
Movie.
He was in the movie as well. He played Kasuf.
Like, he's the main.
Yeah, he's the father of Shari, who Daniel Jackson ends up marrying.
You guys know him. As soon as you see his face, you're gonna know who he
holds
is.
The candy bar. Bunny Wig tastes good.
Yeah.
Bunny Wig.
Yeah. So he's in this. And he's really cute and funny. Yep. And then my other road, just so you guys know, is Jerry Goldsmith, the composer, because did this movie has an amazing score. It has Middle Eastern and Egyptian cues. Yep. It's got some swashbuckling kind of adventure themes, kind of rivals Indiana Jones. It might even be better than the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
No,
it's not better.
No, the music.
No, it's not better.
No,
I know what you're talking about. No way.
I think the music is close.
No.
Everyone
cannot compare this to Johnny Williams. Sorry.
No, Johnny Williams. Oh, Johnny Williams. You beat Jerry Goldsmith.
That's what they used to call him back in the 50s and 60s when he was doing TV. They used to call him Little Johnny Williams.
I don't know, man. Like John Williams, he's awesome, but Jerry Goldsmith has written some
I'm
classic.
not taking anything away from this. Is good. The soundtrack is good, but you said better than
I don't know.
Raiders.
This soundtrack is good.
It's not better than Raiders. Come on, guys. What do you think?
Well,
Better
see,
than
this
Raiders?
is the one thing. Everyone accuses this thing of being Indiana Jones knockoff, and maybe
It is. No question about it. It's of the same vein.
Yeah.
The music is great. It's not better than Indiana Jones. But anyway. The one I want to mention, though, is Bernard Fox, who plays the British colonel, who's the pilot, who flies the plane. He's drunk. We all know, you guys know him if you were classic television from Bewitched. He was Dr. Bombay.
That's right.
So,
Oh,
so it's like he's kind of, you mentioned, and he plays almost the character exactly the same. He's kind of that. He's kind of that quintessential British
I feel
officer.
like he played that character in a lot.
He always, you know, that's like we think of a British officer, especially from like the 20s. That's him. You know, that very proper. But he's always this one. He's always drunk.
Yeah.
And going to just die of booze and boredom.
Yeah, booze and boredom.
So he wants to. So his whole goal was to just die in battle because all his mates did, and he's the only one left. So
and I gotta say,
when he does die in the plane, if you notice when he finally he checks to see if he's alive and he's dead in the plane, he's smiling.
Yeah, he's smiling in the plane, and also the two guys who were like strapped to the wings, they survived. Okay, sure.
Well, you know,
whatever.
He went in first. The wings came off, so it absorbed some of the.
Martin, when we see Ross and Roy on Friday, Martin's gonna have Ross vote on which soundtrack is better. Whoo, Johnny Williams or Jerry Goldsmith? Whoo.
I don't know how it's even a contest, but
I'm just reading the comments.
Nobody seems to have an opinion though, so we'll leave it that. We'll put a pin in that. We'll ask Ross. Not that Ross is still just an opinion. I mean, he knows.
Ross is the classic
music, but it's a very personal thing. I can't.
He's the classic music radio DJ.
Well, let's put it this way.
He knows classic music.
If you play, let's put it this way: if you play the theme to this film and the theme to Raiders of the Lost Ark, every single person is going to know. People are going to go, I don't know what the other one is, but the other one's Raiders.
Yeah.
That just makes you smile when you hear Raiders.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's recognizable. This thing, just for sheer technical, like, hey, thank you for including Egyptian and Middle Eastern cues in this thing. Good job,
man. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away anything from it. But you said it was better than Raiders, so I had to take umbrage.
It's a good score. All right, moving on. Moving on.
We agree on that.
We still on actors, or are we moving on to trivia?
I think we've covered just about everybody. Patricia Velasquez as Anck-su-namun. Obviously, she's not Egyptian.
Gorgeous girl.
Very pretty. I don't know. She's done a bunch of stuff, but
she's around. Yeah, she does stuff.
So anyway, yeah. So I think we're trying to think of what else. God, there were so many things about this movie.
So many things about this movie. $80 million. It raked in $416 million worldwide. Good job, The Mummy. That's a success in our book. They got extra money because Babe the Pig. You know that Babe the Pig movies? They did Pig in the City and it tanked. So Universal, they were like panicked. Oh man, we need a good one. Oh, throw extra money at The Mummy. Throw extra money at the Mummy, and it worked. So what's some of my other trips? Oh, so this thing went through a number of potential directors, including George Romero, who we know from Night of the Living Dead, Clive Barker, and Wes Craven, who are all like horror, and they would have taken it in that horror direction. But they ended up with this guy Summers. And Summers, I was talking about Oded Fehr and what a delight Oded Fehr is. Summers rewrote the ending. So the Ardith, Oded's character Ardith, was supposed to die. Remember, he's like fending off all those other zombies and the tunnel collapses. He was meant to have died. And the director, like, just A, loved working with him, and B, realized what a great character he was. So he kind of rewrote the ending at the last minute to have Ardith come back again, because the character was just so cool. And he also
was a great character.
He was a good character, and he comes back in the other movies. But he also, the other thing that they did for Ardith, or for Oded Fehr, was the movie, the open narration was supposed to have been Imhotep. But then they realized, wait, he wouldn't speak English. So this isn't going to really work. So they changed it, and they gave it to the Ardith character, and that actually makes so much more sense, and worked just brilliantly. So kind of,
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they like even Imhotep spoke Egyptian or ancient Egyptian. I don't know.
Ancient Egyptian, yeah.
So that and they subtitled it, so it made sense that because
Yeah.
obviously he wouldn't speak English or at least know English unless he's been listening all these thousands of years. Um,
He would have learned it that quickly, yeah.
so they cost, talking about the special effects, 125,000 per shot. Is
Wow.
roughly what they were spending. And but Stephen Sommers, he said that the Mummy, the 1932 Mummy, he was 8 apparently when he saw that. Not in 1932. He wasn't.
Yeah, when he finally saw it.
But he felt that was a very scary movie for him as an 8-year-old, and he was trying to
It
recreate
would
some
have
of that
been.
feeling.
It would have
Yeah.
been. Francis was
Yeah.
was actually talking about it in the chat, and yeah, it has humor. Francis pointed out that it has humor too, but it has suspense, and it was pretty scary. Scarier than, well, not scarier, but Summers explained why for him it was scarier than Dracula or the Frankenstein. It just,
I mean, we look at those films today and they're like, that's scary. That was scary. But I've always said that it's all relative because, like, when we had talked about Jaws in 1975, Jaws was scary.
Oh, Jaws
People were terrified of the water because of Jaws in 1975. We watched Jaws today. My daughter, I remember we watched it with her because I tried to always give her the classics. She loves the movie, but she's like, it's not that scary. Because we're like, yeah, you might be scared. You might be scared. She's like, it's not that scary. So kids, here they're like, because of what effects and everything else, we've become numb, and that's why I think these movies have to become more and more over the top to satisfy this need we have for more and more and more, and
until we're like in the movie, until we're like having an experience. Like, you don't watch a movie, you experience a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This set wasn't without its problems. They had spiders, snakes, scorpions. Some crew members got bitten and had to be taken to the hospital. Most of the cast had kidnapping insurance taken out on them because wherever they were in either the Morocco or they were kind of in some parts in the Sahara Desert, wherever they were a little nervous about that. That could have been.
Yeah, they had a lot of problem with the guns that they
had trouble with the guns. They had trouble with
jamming because of the sand, so they ended up just fixing it in post.
Yeah, they had problems with extras not following directions. The one in that scene we were talking about with the Imhotep, they were going Imhotep. There's one they had to paint his eyes white in post because he kept looking at the camera. So they were like, I just paint him white. Couple other little things going on. Oh, like little behind the scenes things. Benji's torch at the very end, Benji's torch goes out. It had a dimmer switch on it. And it would just go down, and then they'd say, okay, cut, and they'd put it back up, and then he'd put it down. Which is kind of cool. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, so massive plot hole. Imhotep's curse should have been punishment, but it also included godlike powers. like why?
Well, that's kind of, why would you? And they kind of do breeze on that. Like they say, that this particular the Humdai, I think is what they called it. This of mummifying somebody while they're alive would cause this potential problem. No, they knew that, but yet that's why they never wanted to use it. But yet apparently they decided to use it. So yeah, why would you ever, if you knew doing these certain things could create this monster, why would you do it? Even for anything, why don't you just kill him? I mean, eaten alive probably for, it's kind of like a Sarlacc, right?
We needed it for the movie to happen.
Yeah, of course, we needed it for the movie to happen. But when you think about it, it was stupid. Why would you do that?
If you guys aren't watching Pitch Meeting on YouTube, you absolutely should be. He skewers the movies. It's awesome. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm just saying, this is not a movie you don't pick it apart. Just watch it.
Do not pick it apart.
Strap in for the roller coaster ride. Enjoy it. I don't know anybody that didn't like this film. So
universally enjoyable film. For a minute there, everyone was like, it wasn't that good. But then Tom Cruise came along, and suddenly we're like, oh no, wait, that other one, it was much.
Yeah, I never felt that way. I liked this. I saw it in the theater in '99. I loved it then. It was a hit. I remember talking to people about it. It was a hit then. It was a hit. We all were amazed by it. You say The Matrix came out the same year. We all were amazed by The Matrix with the wire effects. All that stuff.
And Galaxy Quest came out that year. 1999 was a big year.
It was a good year. It was a good year for films, no question about it. So, I mean, but yeah, I don't think like I said, oh, well, this movie, overshadowed this one. The Tom Cruise movie, I never even put these two in the same bucket. They were just like the Tom Cruise movie was just bad. It was more of a horror film, and the mummy was female. It was female mummy.
Yes,
Not that makes any difference, but so they're just not the same film. They're just not. They just have the same name. That's the only parallel.
I'm sorry, Universal. I'm sorry your Dark Universe plan didn't work out for you, but we enjoy us some Brendan Fraser. Would love to see more of him, please, and thank you.
Yeah. So, well, it is 8:00, so I don't want to run too long. What do we have coming up next week? I don't even know. What do we do?
Coming up. Phil will not be on Thursday. He will be doing Friday Freeform on WUSB Stony Brook. And next week, he has a huge interview with the prog rock band Evership. They are cool. You guys should check that out. Roy, this Friday at 7:30, it's us. We'll be joining Ross and
You
Roy.
haven't had enough of us.
Because you haven't had enough of us.
Friday.
And because I'm already weird enough, I'm going to be even weirder. I'm coming in costume. I don't even know if anybody else is going to dress in costume, but it's Halloween. And I don't
know. I know you said that, but now that you say that, I don't know. I didn't get them.
I don't know what Roy and Ross are doing.
Yeah, I don't know. Last year we did, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I was Evil Queen last year.
Right. I think I did the Mickey Mouse.
I can't remember what you did.
I did Mickey Mouse from Fantasia.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. And Ross was something very esoteric. I don't remember what he was.
He's always something esoteric. That's
very esoteric.
I don't know. I got a couple ideas if we decide to go that
I'm doing it. This is my one chance a year to get in a costume, so I'm doing it. We will be on talking about the Munsters, Lily, Herman, Eddie, and Marilyn, and the Dragula and their coach.
So if you want to hear all about the Munsters, which I have not watched since I was a kid.
I was kind of an Addams Family girl myself, but
yes, I agree. I was definitely more.
Francis, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for everybody for joining us. We never did. What do we do next week? Do we know?
Oh, I wrote down I believe next week we are going to compare and contrast the two Judge Dredd
movies. So if you didn't know, there's the Stallone version, and then there's the Carl Urban version. So they're very different.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen them, you might want to catch up and watch whichever one you haven't seen.
Oh, Martin's on Rocky Horror. Oh, Martin, I'd go with you if I could. That's one of my all-time favorites.
We did that last year.
Yeah, we did. We did Rocky Horror with Kent last year.
Yeah.
I love Rocky Horror. I watch Rocky Horror every year at Halloween, whether I want to or not.
It is a good film. It's basically a play.
It is basically a play in a lot of ways. Yeah.
So we talked about that. Okay, so then I don't know what we got going after that, but thank you everybody for joining us. Have a happy and safe Halloween if you're doing anything for the holiday. Don't take any colored fentanyl. Don't do that.
Hand out nice candy to the kids. They deserve it.
Yes. So, all right. We'll see you we'll see you Friday.
Yeah, we'll see you Friday.
If you tune into Roy's, if not, we'll see you next Wednesday. Live long and prosper. Good night.